If some cosmic entity trapped you in a nightmarish hellscape where you had to survive 26 brutal death scenarios or die trying, what would you do? Unless you're Stephen King and erupted from the pupated sack of a bog witch in the bowels of some fetid, putrefied lower rung of hell, you had to discover your love for horror like the rest of us mere mortals by realizing that all wholesome, earnest content out there was missing something. A touch of unbridled chaos, perhaps. The greats working in horror today also had to start somewhere, usually with a no-budget, bite-sized nugget of terror. A short film intended to show off just how sharp and wicked their mind could be. Sometimes they succeed, sometimes they fail. But we do not have that luxury. If we want to escape this marathon of violence, we're gonna need to think like a horror director, accelerate our reaction times, and probably kill a few people. We're gonna keep a tally too. Let's see which deaths are escapable and which are not. I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat horror itself in the ABCs of death. A is for apocalypse. Somewhere in Spain, a bedridden husband is dry swallowing the world's worst breakfast in bed, a single stale bread roll, when his wife enters wielding a kitchen knife. She hesitates for half a second before announcing her attack and, well, attacking. The husband puts up a decent fight for someone without the use of their legs, pushing and shoving her away until she slices through his hand, almost cutting it in half, and slowly plunges the knife into his neck. Then she retreats from the room and returns with a sizzling frying pan full of oil, which she dumps on his face before delivering half a dozen cast iron blows to the top of his head. Suddenly, sounds of utter chaos and destruction filter in through the windows. She sits down beside him and explains that she's been poisoning him for months, hoping she'd avoid murder charges that way. But the sudden arrival of the apocalypse has forced her to speed up her plans. As a rocket barrels toward the apartment, they share their last few seconds together. How sweet. I mean, stupid. What defeatist attitude is this? At least go die in the streets with the other headless chickens. Just FYI, the apocalypse ain't over until we're wearing our enemy's skull as a hard hat. More immediately, however, we're handling this marital squabble from both sides. This world's worst wife is a moron. If you know it's the end of the world, be the stone cold bitch you already are and just leave him to die. Get to shelter, you idiot. But if you really have your icy heart set on killing him first, don't announce your goddamn attack. Do you know how easy it would have been to just point at something in the corner and slide that knife into his neck while he wasn't looking? And you, the guy who was probably too proud to go to a doctor to find out why you've been sick for months, you showed some solid defensive maneuvering at first, but you didn't even reach for the table lamp or phone right beside you. Whip your blanket off and toss it over her when you shove her away. Then deliver repeated blows to her head before she can recover. Don't go down like a chump. This initial attack is totally survivable, and frankly, only a few apocalypses are truly inescapable, so I'm marking this down as a win. B is for Bigfoot. In Mexico, these two are going to town on each other when they remember they're babysitting a kid who doesn't want to go to sleep at 8 o'clock. So, he and his girlfriend improvise a cryptid origin story for the abominable snowman, even though they live in Mexico City, which, for reference, is located about 3 feet away from Satan's ballsack. They warn the girl that this part of the city once suffered a catastrophic 40-day-long snowstorm, during which the snowman feasted on the hearts of dozens of children. Mexico waged an unsuccessful war against the snowman, ending in a truce which says he's allowed to eat any kid that isn't in bed under the covers by 8 o'clock. The girls bed down, just as there's an ominous knock on the door. It's the garbage man, who rips the guy apart when he opens the door, before slicing out the woman still beating hard with a rusted pizza cutter. The little girl hides under the covers, just like she was told to. The killer lets her live, wanders off into the night. Yeah, not all of these are gonna be winners. How about we just say the obvious? If someone comes to your house at an unreasonable hour, don't open the door. Force them to reveal their intentions. If they want in, they'll have to break the door down, giving us time to barricade and arm ourselves, as well as the right to mow them down when they make entry. C is for cycle. In Chile, we meet Bruno, the anti-Sherlock Holmes, who discovers a puddle of blood and actual brain matter in his back garden and just forgets about it. In the middle of the night, his pregnant girlfriend Alice sends him to investigate the sound of somebody entering their home, and half-assed that too. The next day, he finds a dark void has taken up residence in the corner of the backyard, and like the great thinker he is, he just shoves his head right into it and gets dragged away. He wakes after dark and enters the house to find he's traveled back in time to the night before. He finds his useless past self asleep in bed and hides in the apartment as Alice tells past him to go investigate. The next day, he watches past him approach the void and disappear inside. He steps out to investigate and gets ambushed from behind by another version of himself, who wraps a garden hose apparently made from guillotine blades around his neck. Anyway, he hoists the body to the void and hurls it in, taking advantage of that cosmic garbage disposal while it's still in their backyard. Great. Now, how about you board up the universe's naughty hole so it can't regurgitate your next replacement? Fighting your doppelganger is a mindfuck more ways than one. To win this fight, you have to outthink yourself, a seemingly impossible task. But it really isn't. Ask yourself what the last thing you do in this situation is, then step it back. What's the second last thing you do? Do that. Put on a disguise to prevent ambushes. A hat and shade should do. And fall back to a third location where you can regroup and return once you understand what's going on. If you find yourself already at your own mercy, think about your own weaknesses and use them against yourself. He's got us on our back, pressed against him. Pull to the side and elbow him in the gut or groin. Then turn and dribble his head against the ground until it pops. Then go put on that disguise so this won't happen again. D is for dogfight. In the United States, the world's worst people, including a dirty toddler to complete the aesthetic, gather for a fight to the death between a man and a frickin' yellow Labrador. Yeah, that's right. The most professionally shot short here forces us to sit through John Wick's worst nightmare, and I am owed damages for even having to think about this. The fight is a no-holds-barred punch and bite fest, with the dog taking him to the ground almost immediately, latching onto his arm, then his leg. The irony is that this gritty, gruesome fight in real life would end right here with this dog ripping out this guy's femoral artery and leaving him to bleed to death. The fighter takes a chunk out of the dog's head instead, then narrowly keeps the dog back as he lunges again and again. The fighter regains his feet and punches several times, but it barely phases the pooch. The dog quickly slams him back onto the ground and goes for the throat. In a fight to the death with a dog, even the experts tell you to use literally anything at your disposal. A rock, stick, backpack, to hit it across the face to stun it so you can run away. Remain on your feet, whatever happens, and aim for its most vital areas. If it leaps for you, kick it square in the chest if you're able, and if it latches onto you, do not pull the body part away. It will only tear you a literal new one. While it's attached, use your thumbs to attack its eyes, strike its throat or choke it, or grab it tightly by the scruff of the neck in an attempt to trigger its carry response. And of course, use a gun or a knife if you have one. Just when it looks like the fight is over, the fighter says a single word: Buddy, and the dog releases his throat. We see the fighters wearing a dog tag that says, Buddy, if found, please call the Los Angeles Men's Shelter. Turns out this dog, the fighter's dog, was stolen from him, and he's been looking for him ever since. The tide of the fight shifts, and dog and man turn on his handler, killing him in a brutal onslaught of bitten eyes and smashed skulls. At least this one has a happy ending. But, because I love to be that guy, if this dog is ours, we're using our secret cheat code the second the fight begins. I don't need to take a bite to the arm, leg, and neck before exacting bloody revenge against my dog's captor. Because, as I mentioned, in a real fight, this dog ain't nibbling on our skin. He's tearing out chunks of flesh. Also, this is way too many witnesses for this. We're taking this guy out behind a dive bar in the middle of nowhere and burying him in the desert where no one will ever find him. E is for exterminate. In this one, a guy loses a fight with a spider. That's the short. He tries to kill a black and red spider, misses, misses and gets a bite on the neck for his effort. Since this North American spider is basically harmless, he walks away with an itchy zit. Oh, did I say harmless? I meant when you don't trigger its revenge response. This 8-legged freak takes the fight to its enemy, crawling on him while he's sleeping and biting him repeatedly. The next day, the man finally corners his tiny prey in the bathroom and crushes it, flushing it down the toilet. He won the battle, but he's lost the war. He suddenly writhes in pain as thousands of spider babies erupt from his ear to finish what their mother started. Well, that's definitely somebody's nightmare. My advice, buy a spider trap or a cat and leave your bug-eating spider bro alone. F is for fart. We move on from somebody's nightmare to the burgeoning exploration of someone's stinky fantasy. A Japanese schoolgirl on a field trip farts, embarrassing herself in front of Miss Yumi, the teacher she has a crush on. The ground suddenly begins to tremble and a black gas emerges, killing anyone in its path. The schoolgirl and Miss Yumi run to a nearby gymnasium where the girl admits that if she's going to die, she wants to die smelling Miss Yumi's farts. To her surprise, Miss Yumi's into that shit. She crop dusts her student with mustard gas, killing and absorbing her into her butthole, where they journey into the cosmos together. This is my job. You're welcome. My advice here, do the right kind of drugs. I really don't know what to say here in terms of survivability. Let's just move on. G is for gravity. As all tonally jarring movies must, we transition from booty heaven to the heaviest imaginable. A guy unalives himself by loading up a bag full of bricks, surfing into 10 feet of water, and drowning himself. And I thought the spider short was a write-in. Well, you can't save yourself if you don't want to. H is for hydroelectric diffusion. More like H is for why is the internet so Seriously, someone dug around in the bottom of their kink closet for this. A British war dog is sitting in a bar when a sexy fox lures him to the stage with her feminine wiles and furry tatas. Suddenly, a small box rolls across the stage as she reveals she's working for Hitler and crushes his doggy balls up through his body, out through his throat, wraps them around an electrocution machine, and opens a water pit, sending bear traps on wheels to push him into the spikes below. He hears the words of Winston Churchill telling him to never surrender, and he leaps into action, riding the bear traps to punch her into the machine before sending her sailing into the water where the fur melts off her body. Maybe I don't understand art. Moral of the story, if the call girl seems too into you, she probably has ulterior motives. Use your big head. I is for ingrown. And it's back to depressing shit. In Mexico, a cruel, selfish husband has his wife bound and gagged in their bathtub. He lurches toward her and injects her with motor oil, which causes her to vomit and claw at herself violently until she dies. This one's quick, brutal, and ultimately pointless for the sake of being artistic. That's all to say, we're getting out of this toxic relationship before it gets this far. Call a friend or family or a woman's shelter. Better yet, leave the house. Contact a lawyer through your national domestic violence nonprofits and have them serve him so you can never have to be alone with him again. If that isn't an option, walk to a train station and never come back. Start a Gmail account for free. Set up a social profile so you can contact people you trust without alerting your spouse. And find someone willing to take you in. If we find ourselves at our spouse's mercy like this, use the time while he's away to even the odds. We're only partially tied up here. Remove the looser restraint, then the others. Before he returns, unscrew the lotion bottles and prepare to douse him in the eyes with them. Turn on the water and aim it at the floor outside the tub. When he arrives, blind him, then shove him back. Reach for the toilet tank lid and obliterate him. And if he kills you, that sucks. This one's pretty much unsurvivable. The first of many to come. J is for Jirajiki, and just like that, we swing wide again to something bloodier but more lighthearted. In Japan, an executioner prepares to take the life of a kneeling man, but he can't do it. His mind spirals, trapping him in wild hallucinations. Until we pull back and discover the kneeling man is already dying. Halfway through committing seppuku, the executioner finally mans up and lops off the guy's head, laughing at the head's strange expression. I think the solution here is that this guy needs to get a new job. K is for klutz. We're treated to another fever dream as a Danish woman who takes a dump at a party only to discover she's delivered Mr. Hanky's more agile cousin. No matter what she does, flushing the piece of crap, capturing it in her bra, she can't seem to get rid of the thing until it ultimately reveals its true desire is to swan dive back into the hole from whence it came, impaling her body from the inside out before emerging from her dead mouth as a blood pools around them both. Damn parasite didn't realize it can't live without its host. Anyway, if you drop a deuce at a party and it won't go down, remember the tried and true solution. Scoop it out with a piece of paper or a trash can and lob the whole thing out the window. Not only will it save you from this gruesome death, it'll also baffle your enemies, which is a win-win. L is for libido. And we're back to rating someone's internet search history. In Indonesia, 2 men awake strapped to chairs, surrounded by a party of masked perverts. A naked woman appears before them, and one of them begins to shake. The second realizes what the game is just in time. They have to master furiously to completion for their viewing audience. The loser, well, the winner is forced into another round, and another, and another, watching competitor after competitor die by impaling by his side, until finally they wheel out an amputee who begins to pleasure herself with her own prosthetic. Exhausted near to death, our winner loses his mind, discovering an eye in the undercarriage of his abductor that keeps him alive through one more round. Unfortunately, his secret weapon is accidentally impaled when the mechanism breaks. In the end, our winner loses his streak when a child is brought out to be used, and he vomits in disgust. He meets his end underneath a party guest who uses him as a riding post while chainsawing him to pieces. This is probably inescapable without more information. How many guards, how many guests, how many exits, etc. But if you're going to die anyway, at least try to fight first. The first thing we're doing is saving our reserves. Use both hands to do the deed. Then keep a little stuff in one hand after your first major blow. This is your emergency reserve in case they throw something nasty your way. It also gives you time to figure out if the buckles on your straps are reachable from your position. Then read the room. This is a twisted party. Try seducing someone. I'm serious. Point at a masked woman and get her all hot and bothered. They might release you to have sex with her, at which point you can attempt to escape or take a hostage. Unless you want to die by snoo-snoo. Once you're too exhausted, like this schmuck, you're literally and figuratively yeah, this one's probably inescapable. M is for miscarriage. Yes, this title gives away everything, and we're not gonna dwell on this one. A woman's toilet clogs. She runs down to grab a plunger and returns to reveal that she's trying to flush a dead fetus down the drain. Okay, moving on. N is for nuptials. This one's a shorty too. A man brings a talking parrot home to meet his girlfriend and uses it to propose to her. She's thrilled until the bird begins to repeat all the things he said to his other girlfriend. Turns out this bird bro is the opposite of a wingman, and this chick has heard enough. Super survivable, guys. Not because we're not dumb enough to pull this shit, but also, ladies, remember, he's not worth the felony charges. You really want to go to jail for this walking thumb? I don't think so. O is for O-face. This is another one of those spoiled in the title shorts. 2 people trapped in the torture dimension from Event Horizon have sex, burying cigarettes into each other's stomachs and removing the literal eyes from their body to shove up their cooters. Talk about first-person perspective. Finally, as they climax, the dude chokes her to death with his belt. Since this one's easy to beat, I'm just gonna turn this into a PSA thing. Autoerotic asphyxiation has a mortality rate of 250 to 1,000 deaths per year in the United States. Just imagine globally. Some are from actual human error, but many of these deaths are from straight up equipment malfunction. So, check your toys and safety releases, you sick fuck. P is for pressure. The United Kingdom brings us a downer as a single mother and streetwalker desperate to take care of her children ups her rotation of paying Johns, only to lose all the money she saved to her deadbeat baby daddy, who steals the cash right in front of his hungry, scared kids. Now, completely out of money, she's forced to accept a job working for a real sicko, a man who pays her to crush a kitten to death with her stiletto. What the fuck? Where's John Wick's cat crusading sister when you need her? Time to take that money he just gave you. Head to the local drug dealer for some night-night pills, dose your baby daddy, and sell his organs on the black market for some real cash. Then come back here, cut off this guy's arms and legs, and leave him to bleed out while kittens drink his blood. What starts with animals today will escalate the kids, or your work colleagues tomorrow. Seriously, screw that guy. This is definitely survivable for us, but I'd be plotting a quadruple kidney donation after the fact. Q is for quack. We're going meta with this one. The short's directors are angry that they were assigned the letter Q and decide to help their short stand out by killing an animal related to that letter. A duck. Do you get it? Because it quacks. You guys, quail was right there. And vice presidents shoot those for sport every day. They drive a caged duck into the desert, but neither wants or knows how to work a gun. And in the process of trying to kill their prey, they shoot each other instead, winning their first and only Darwin Awards. The sound guy runs away into the desert as the duck is left to die a far worse death from dehydration. This one's pretty simple. If an object can delete you from reality with a few pounds of trigger pressure, it may behoove you to learn how to use it. Or at minimum, keep it pointed in a safe direction with your finger off the boom boom trigger until the barrel's pressed up against the duck's forehead. R is for removed. This one is from Serbia. An imprisoned patient is forced to undergo excruciating skin removal operations because the skin can produce full-length rolls of 35mm film. He's also paraded around in an actual cage to be worshipped and manhandled by fans, until he finally has had enough and strangles his doctor, snapping his neck with a length of his own chain, processes a piece of his own skin to make a single bullet, steals one of the guard's guns, and escapes, tearing through all of his captors. Save one, his nurse. A rookie move. We're not leaving anyone here alive. Why? Because we need time to recover before finding our way to safety. With these parasites dead, we can use the surgical supplies to patch ourselves up, then steal one of their cars and drive ourselves to safety, rested and ready for our next fight. Instead, this guy wanders out to a train, shoves it about 10 feet, and dies from overexertion in a ditch. I'm not saying I'd want to survive horribly mutilated, but it's definitely possible if all these a-holes die first. S is for speed. Somewhere in the desert, a woman takes another woman hostage and runs from a hooded mutant, landing several solid shots with a revolver that barely phases him before setting him on fire with a flamethrower, which also barely phases him. She speeds off with her human cargo and outruns the mutant for a while before she runs out of gas, and the hooded figure, Death himself, comes to collect her. Congratulating her for running as far as she did, she begs for more time, but he won't give it. She takes his hand and we cut to a drug den where she's seizing on the floor from an overdose. Her idiot friend notices her OD and steals her bad powder for herself, dying the same way. Almost 100,000 people die from ODs in the US annually. You and I would survive this because we aim for a higher form of entertainment, but they were both dead almost from the start. So I'm declaring this one unsurvivable. Death does indeed come for us all. T is for toilet. In England, a kid with a crippling eye defect where they bulge from his skull is forced to face his fears when his parents throw away his potty training toilet and force him to use the real one. There's just one problem. Their toilet is a bloodthirsty mimic. At least in his nightmares. When he finally can't wait any longer, he overcomes his fears, but tragically falls getting trapped in the seat, where his father finds him and ridicules him for the accident, right before they both learn that sometimes fears are warnings. Remember, humans have been crapping outside for thousands of years. Trust your instincts and handle your business in the woods. U is for unearthed. In the dead of night, we're awoken from our deadly slumbers by grave robbers and their priest, who have come to kiss our vampire ass goodbye. We pummel two of them and shove the priest away, sprinting into the dark, where we discover a random unprepared woman, the perfect midnight snack to recharge our batteries. We run a few dozen yards away as the search intensifies for us, avoiding the flames of their flares and narrowly dodging flaming arrows, until one spears our arm, and we're we're finally taken down. A local lad pulls out our fangs with a pair of pliers. A priest stakes us, and a nerdy firefighter lops off our head. Tragic mistakes were made. As vampires, we are the night, carved from the darkness itself. We are too powerful and prepared to be destroyed by a handful of Edgar Wright's extras. To start, we're luring them all in different directions by moving stealthily around the perimeter of their search area, calling out and moving on. We'll pick off the first, then don their clothing as a disguise, then use their weapons to finish off the rest from within, draining as much blood as we can for added strength and stealth. Once they're dead, we'll await for their families to come looking, and pick them off as well to send the right message. Don't start none, won't be none. V is for Vagidus. In 2035, the world has been reduced to rubble by a biological apocalypse. Not only has pregnancy been outlawed unless permitted, cops now hunt people called mentals, humans who have developed telekinetic powers. As a cop and her robo-partner gun down a hidden group of rebel mentals, a baby is decapitated, providing the future's Dr. Mengele with fresh brain matter to siphon off and consume. But the baby turns out to be the most powerful mental of them all, tackling and killing adults with its headless body, and exploding brains with its bodiless head. It's a lot. Also, leave it to humanity to fail at life with robotics and superpowers at their disposal. Unsurvivable is an understatement. With half-cocked, trigger-happy idiots like this, death would be a blessing. W is for what the f***. This one is so full of random bullshit, you guys, that it not only lost the plot, it barely had one to begin with. To survive this one, we just have to avoid the drugs these people took. Or take them. I don't know. I'm not your parole officer. X is for XXL. In Paris, a plus-sized woman minding her own business is harassed literally every step of the way home, where she proceeds to eat her feelings in the grossest way possible. Still, nothing a good therapist won't fix until, tormented by an obnoxious weight loss commercial, she takes a kitchen knife to her stomach fat, hacking away at herself like she's auditioning for the Requiem for a Dream sequel. She gets in the shower and hacks herself to pieces with an electric handsaw until she's finally the shape society wants her to be. This whole short is begging to be an earbud ad. And that's the immediate solution here. Crank up those tunes, block those fuckers out, and get to a therapist ASAP. Survival is absolutely possible without resorting to these drastic measures. Y is for young buck. At a Canadian middle school, a kid and his creepy dad kill a deer in the hours before school begins. I cannot stress to you enough how creepy this man is. I can only show you. The creepy dad works as a janitor at the school, where he likes to watch boys sweat on the gym bleachers. This time, though, there's somebody watching. Doesn't stop the world's grossest dude from heading in after the kids have gone to slurp up all the boy juice they left behind. The buck is watching, but he turns out to be the man's own son, so traumatized by all the horrors his father has shown him that he ends his torment once and for all, and scores a three-pointer while he's at it. Let's add another WTF to our list and call this one a draw. We are surviving this, and so is the kid. Z is for Zetsumetsu. We finish our foray into the weirdest imaginable with another nearly entirely nude acid trip. And this time, it's almost coherent. In a bit of revisionist history, radioactivity from the bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki spread across Japan, dosing everyone with radiation, changing their DNA and mutating many. Some are killed for entertainment. Others died during run-ins with the monsters. And some use their ginormous X-Men Wolverine penis to skewer naked maidens before their members are chopped off to make soup for rocket men to enjoy. which ultimately inspires the most Japanese man alive to walk again. And that rounds out our survivable insanity, bringing our final tally to 22 survivable and 4 unsurvivable. Pretty good. For so many reasons, I think the ABCs of death were ultimately beaten. Moral of the story, some things you can't unsee.